Well, I don't know if it started. We are live. Let me pull this up. Hey, everybody. I'm trying to find where we are. It looks like people see us.
Hey, guys. Okay, wait. Can you see us?
We are live, and we are just figuring out the details here.
Okay, so they
There
can.
it is. It is working. Everybody leave us a comment. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Let us know where you're tuning in from.
We tried to do it early enough that we would catch people in the UK. Good, we did. And late enough for people in the US after work. So it's unfortunate we can't get a time that's like perfect for everybody. That would be wonderful. But since that's impossible, we try to get like kind of a middle ground.
Maybe we'll work on maybe switching up these times here and there of when we do Monday live streams. But we're trying a new setup here, so we'll take a couple minutes, make sure our setup is working good. We've got trying to just improve our quality of these live streams a little bit for you guys. And so, welcome. Thanks for hanging out. We're going to talk about relationships, dating. What it was like for us, what it was like for me, learning about Mary CF, and I don't know if it'll be helpful. It might be amusing, but we might tell some funny dating stories, or who knows what. But
So is there a place we can get the comments up?
yes, but not on this computer. So
Okay.
we will use a phone.
Okay, cool.
And
Richmond, Virginia, Dallas, Norway, New Jersey. Awesome! That is great. It's working. And happy belated birthday to Peter, said Charlotte.
whoop whoop! I had an amazing birthday week. I gotta show you guys something that Mary got me for my birthday. Wait till you see this. It is a wire antelope.
It's a birthday antelope.
Look at that. She even put a little birthday hat on it. It is so cute. She got it at this like fair trade store. Trying to remember where these were made.
I feel like it was Peru,
It might have been Peru.
but I forget now.
These are so cool. I have two of them. Anyways, there's my little
Birthday antelopes.
birthday haul for you. But if you are new around here, I'm Peter, and this
And
is...
I'm Mary,
and she's
and we
drinking
are
pear
the
juice.
Frey Life.
And welcome. We make daily vlogs every day, and today on Monday our vlog is live, and we're just gonna look at your questions, hang out with you guys, and
Yes, Ruth, that's correct.
welcome to the Frey Life.
Don't you think we're better together? Oh, I think we are.
We just thought we'd roll our intro just
Wait,
for
it's
good
over?
time's sake. Yeah, we have
Oh.
a short intro.
Oh, cool.
You know?
He is so techie. He did a bunch of research to try to make this a better viewer experience, and hopefully that has been accomplished.
So I saw somebody already asked a question. How long have we been dating?
Well, we go all the way back
All the way back
to diapers.
the summer of love.
Was 2005.
Yeah.
So,
Leave a comment. Let us know. Have you watched our Draw My Life
yes, that
video?
would be a really good
I'm
question.
curious if all of our viewers, it is kind of like the channel intro when you discover our YouTube channel. We made this Draw My Life video where we drew out our life. And I can't believe I just spit pizza. I can't believe that it was, how many years ago did we make that?
It would have been like right over 3 years. Because I'm guessing it was like February 3 years ago.
Yeah, 3
Also-
years ago.
Just like a quick warning, I'm like, we just got back from something really exciting. We're giving you a little sneak peek to tomorrow's vlog.
Yeah.
But something has been in the making for many months. We've been signed up to take horseback riding lessons as a form of exercise, airway clearance for my lungs, but he decided he wanted to do it too. So It's like a date for us.
And today was the first time that I have ever ridden a horse,
And he did amazing. He got many compliments.
I'm hooked.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was so much fun. So you'll have to tune into tomorrow's vlog to see more of that. But, so, if the Summer of Love was 2005, that means that we have been dating for
13 years.
13 years.
But I guess what I was saying was, if I'm like this, it's because I am utterly exhausted. Like, every ounce of me is depleted.
Wiped
So
out.
hopefully the pears and the juice are going to make me feel all better. Anyway, Summer of Love, 2005, we were paired as co-teachers on a trip with our youth group, and that was perfect because that gave us time to get to know each other more. We grew up in the same church, in the same hometown, so we knew of each other, but we started getting to know each other more in high school. We served in a like a community outreach type of thing every Sunday together. So we got to know each other in different settings. And then the Summer of Love happened and we fell in love. And it's been glorious.
Well, it kind of started as us, like we knew who each other were because we had grown up in the same church. And so I knew that Mary had cystic fibrosis and knew kind of like a general vague idea that it was this lung disease that she had. I didn't know much more than that. And I think one of the questions that is kind of the story's leading into that we often get is, when did I learn about CF and how did that transpire in our dating relationship? And I think I had this general idea, and so we became friends that summer of 2005, and we would hang out together, and I'd hear her coughing and learn more about the therapy she would do. And I remember that summer was 2005 when you got your port, or was that?
I think so.
Yeah, so I remember you were in the hospital getting your port. I was at pole vault camp. Yeah, I was at pole vault camp while you were getting your port, and we were like...
We were talking.
Did we text back then?
I don't think we had texting abilities, but email maybe.
I think we called each other.
But Yahoo Messenger.
AOL Instant Messenger?
I don't think I had AOL though. I think I had Yahoo. But anyway, an instant messenger of the day.
Yeah. We would instant message, but I feel like maybe we would call each other.
Instant messaging. Yes, we called each other.
Did you save our instant messages?
I did, and I printed them out. Oh man. I remember like you were deciding whether or not to go to pole vault camp, and I think I secretly didn't want you to go because I didn't want to miss you for that week. But I'm glad you went, obviously. Yeah.
I think I was pretty smitten for you at that point.
Were you?
Yeah.
He was in a really bad car accident.
I wasn't hurt at all.
He was in a really bad car accident, and it's really a miracle that he walked out of that okay. And so this was before we started dating, and I remember going up to him at youth group, and I ran up to him and I gave him a hug, and I was like, I'm so glad you didn't die. And he like just stood there like a board. Like I tried to hug him, and it felt like I was like hugging a wall or something, like very not reciprocated.
I wasn't a good hugger.
And so I was like, okay, got it. Like, back away. But anyway, that happened. So then when he became smitten with me, I think I was like surprised. I was like, oh, well, hello.
Yeah.
You don't remember the wall hug?
I don't remember that. Was there something about a clothespin?
Yes. What was that?
What was the clothespin?
Okay, so it was something like we were supposed to write on the clothespin. We were supposed to write something. Like an
encouragement to somebody or something?
Yes. Is that what it was?
And you wrote, don't die, and gave me that clothespin. great. I mean, so as you can see, genuine encouragement is the foundation of a good friendship. I saw a comment that somebody wants to hear are those instant messengers. If you want to hear cheesy. I don't know.
Well, let's start with what we called each other.
Hey. I don't know what I call
I don't
you.
know, just Mary probably, but I called him
Mary.
Captain Pete.
Captain Pete. That was my screen name.
Captain Pete, and I used to call you Nautica Boy because he used to wear a hat that said Nautica.
That's right.
And I'd be like, oh no, I call you Nautica Man.
Nautica Man.
Didn't I used to sing it? Nautica Man.
Yeah, just like that.
Really? Do you remember that?
I do remember Nautica Man.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was like in the like, he likes me, and like anytime he looked at me, my heart skipped a beat, and we're talking 15 years old here, okay?
She said that we were watching a TV show last night, and the guy winked in the TV show, and and she said I had a good wink back
Yes,
then.
he used to wink at me from across the youth group room. Oh! So then we were like laying on the couch last night, like, and I was like, wink at me. And he's like, it was really cute.
So, anyways, question I have for you is, when we started hanging out and dating, did you have any, like, because of CF, or we can generalize this to chronic illness in general, like, did you have any, like, I don't want to say anxieties, but, like, fears about dating because of CF?
I will say this. I have a distinct memory of being at Johns Hopkins, where I grew up going to the hospital, and sitting on the, like, doctor bed, what's it called? Exam bed, sitting there thinking, if I want to grow up and have a husband and grow up, I have to take care of myself. Like, I have to take care of myself. And that was a good thing in my life. And I continued, and you'll hear me tell the story of being in college and being encouraged by one of my professors that, like, taking care of myself is my responsibility. And then I kind of took it even more seriously. But being 15 and having my eyes on the prize of, like, I need to take care of my body so I can grow up, that was good for me. And it wasn't because somebody said it. I just remember sitting there and, like, thinking it. So that was influenced by our dating life.
Yeah. So dating and thinking about being in a relationship made you want to take better care of yourself.
Yep.
I'm going to turn up the gain on our microphone here a little bit so you guys can hear us a little better.
Testing.
I think that's the right direction.
Testing.
Yeah. Did
I'm trying to think of, like, other ways that it would be affected. So what is the question?
Well, I guess I just didn't know if, like, you had any, like, fears about, like, me finding out things about your disease or things like that.
Okay, two things I was very, like, private about. One, I never audibly farted in his presence while we dated. I tried not to, which farting is a part of life, especially CF life, because your digestive tract doesn't work right. And you okay?
Yeah. I'm just trying to sit close to the mic.
Oh, should I sit closer?
Maybe. I don't know.
And so I tried to hold that in for 6 years while we dated. And the second thing I was really like, he cannot know this, that when I cough, mucus, like I cough up mucus. Like, I just thought that was the grossest thing. No one would ever be okay with that. And, like, I was just sure that I was unwanted. And he knew the whole time that I coughed up mucus, and he was fine with it. I thought I was having, like, a secret, but he knew.
That is so interesting. When she told me that, like, after the fact, I was like, Well, of course. Like,
Well,
that's
I
what
was like,
coughing is.
so like I cough up mucus into my throat like a lot, and he's like, yeah, so, and I'm like, okay, I just wanted to tell you. And that was probably like when we got engaged. But so those were things that I was like fearful about, just like embarrassed.
Yeah. I think, so talking about how I learned of Mary CF, and I think we've shared this throughout our videos about our relationship, but it was a progressive journey for me of discovering what life with CF as part of our relationship was. I remember one moment in that journey of learning how cystic fibrosis affected our relationship, because there's like aspects of like our relationship throughout dating. We dated through college, and there are aspects of our relationship that I would say like no different with CF than, and so much of our relationship was no different with CF.
Right.
But there were things that were added in, like doctors and hospital visits,
Right.
and
So we lived downtown Chicago, and so it was recommended that we don't walk alone in the city. So and I mean, in the day it was fine, but if it was in the evening, you weren't supposed to, and whatever. So he either he went with me, or like somebody from his dorm floor would take me and drop me off at the hospital or whatever. So I think were you touching on the fact that it kind of came progressively? So
yeah. There were, like, that was progressive of me getting involved with those
Right.
doctor's visits.
from like sitting in the waiting room, and then he started coming in with me and hearing what the doctor was saying, and then visiting me while I was in the hospital, to then, of course, when we got married, then he stayed in the hospital with me, and like, it kind of came in baby steps.
Yeah, it was progressive. I think there were moments where along our dating relationship where I learned that CF did affect our relationship in some ways. And like one of those things was like, and to this day, like planning a date, like you have to hold plans loosely based on how Mary's feeling, or what her appetite is. One time I planned for us to go on this date to this Brazilian steakhouse, and Mary had no appetite, and so
I felt so bad.
and so we didn't end up going. But I had like planned this date out, and so I think that was a learning experience for me to learn. Okay, I've got to hold plans loosely, but then it made the question of like planning things is part of a like good relationship, and so like how do you plan and yet hold it loosely? And that was something I think to this day in our marriage that I think is in many ways become the heart of how we make our schedule and do what we do. Is we make plans, but we hold them very loosely.
Right.
But I would say back in our dating relationship, I didn't understand that was a big part of our relationship with CF, but
Right.
it was baby steps like Brazilian steakhouse that made me learn some of that.
Okay, I feel like we even like walked there, and I was like, where are we going? And then we like got there, and it was like the Brazilian steakhouse, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. I'm not hungry. And I felt so bad. Like, I felt so bad about that, and I still do.
Well, I don't feel bad about it. I mean, I don't think you should feel bad about it.
Yeah.
It was a good learning experience for me.
We've never been to a steakhouse because of that. Like a Brazilian steakhouse where you like pay a lot of money to get in, and then you can eat as much as you want. Like with a low appetite, I wouldn't get our money's worth.
Yeah.
So,
Whatever. We did do all you can eat sushi back in the day, though.
yes, and I could slam it down.
She could down some sushi rolls back in the day.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if there are any questions, but I guess one of the things I was hoping we could talk about was what advice or like what would you say you've learned about yourself or ourselves in dating and marriage that chronic illness has taught us?
Well, kind of going along with what you were just saying, to be flexible, to be okay with the fact that you can still have a good time together even if it's not what you expected, planned, or wanted. So we wanted to have a nice date at a nice restaurant and eat nice food. We still had a good time together, but we didn't go there. So being flexible enough to choose to enjoy yourselves no matter what you end up doing, even if it's sitting in the car and eating McDonald's French fries or whatever, like you can still have a nice time no matter your location or what's on your plate.
Yeah. I think chronic illness, like one of the description of this video I put was the challenges and joys of a relationship with chronic illness. And I think one of the joys for us of having CF as part of our marriage and our relationship is really it brings a lot of perspective on the little things don't matter. And I keep seeing people ask this question, and I think we should talk about it, is do we ever argue? And the answer is yes. Like, we are human beings who are broken and who get in disagreements and who get on each other's nerves. And I think there is that reality in our relationship where we have to make the decision day in and day out to not make the little things matter. I mean, to have perspective on what really matters. And I think when disagreements arise and this goes for any relationship, when disagreements arise, when you have conflict, when you have arguments, being able to step back and get some perspective is the most helpful thing in those moments too.
And like, you still have to work through that disagreement.
Yeah.
But with perspective, it helps tremendously as you work through it. So I feel like I'm right in this scenario and I want to make my agenda known in this scenario. But if I step back and say, all right, in the grand scheme of life, with a terminal illness on the board and wanting to make the most of every day and every minute that we have together, I need to chill out about my agenda or my point of view, breathe, and talk respectfully, because you never know when your last day is going to be. And so choosing to take control of, like, a lot of it is having self-control. So, like, yes, we're going to have disagreements, but the way that we choose to deal with the disagreements is with talking things out. And sometimes that takes a long time and a lot of energy. But I'm really grateful that I remember being at undergrad, being in our separate dorm rooms and our separate dorms, talking on the phone for hours because we had to like talk through something that we had either disagreed upon or misunderstood. And we laid in bed and talked on the phone for hours to talk through it. And so from dating for 6 years, we had 6 years of those conversations. And so as we stepped into marriage, we had already discussed a lot of 6 years worth of stuff. So some of those more minor kind of disagreements or whatever had already been covered. But in the last 7 years of marriage, we've had a lot of big things that have come up that we have to talk through. Huge life decisions or teeny little annoying things or whatever it is, you know? So yeah, we are 100% human, and so disagreements happen. And sometimes they happen at inopportune times, and you have to talk through it.
Yeah, and I think to kind of hit on dating and marriage, one of my biggest advice that I give to people who are thinking about marriage, maybe they're in a dating relationship and thinking about marriage, is how do you argue? Like, talking through, like, how do you argue? How do you resolve conflict? And then really, like, coming to a place where not that all the conflict is resolved, but that you know how to resolve conflict. And that is something that...
Wait, what do you mean not all conflict is resolved?
Like, so some people would be like, well, I'm not ready to get married because we have this we get in arguments and, like, we fight about this or that. And that is a part of a normal relationship. Like, you're two different human beings with different perspectives, especially different upbringings.
Yeah.
And that's going to continue into marriage. The question before marriage is, have you figured out how to resolve conflict? It's not that conflict is gone.
Right.
And I think a lot of people are afraid to get married because they're afraid of conflict in marriage. But I think that is not something to keep from marriage. It's really being at a place where you know how to resolve conflict and know how to have communicate. And communication was something that Mary and I really had to learn. Like, we had two very different communication styles, and we had to learn how the other person communicates and how they listen to how we communicate. And that was a lot of in our dating years, journeying through those questions.
Yeah, and then early in marriage, reading books was helpful. There's a book that talks about how men and women communicate, and the way that when one person says something, the other person might hear something completely different. So gearing up your mind to realize that miscommunication happens, and it's not his fault, it's not my fault, it happens. And so being prepared for that, and then also what was that thing about assuming or realizing that the other person isn't against you? They're not out to hurt you. There was a miscommunication. And so, like, knowing that my husband is for me and, like, we are a team, and him knowing that I am for him and with him, saying, hey, this, like, something doesn't feel right today. And most often for us, what we've realized is when one of us doesn't feel right, or we're, like, grumpy or out of sorts or not communicating well, it's most often because there's an outside source of stress. You're thinking through an event coming up that you have to get ready for, or I'm stressed about a doctor's appointment or something like that. There's an outside stress source. And so realizing he's not just trying to be rude or, like, grumpy, it's just part of life. And how can I support him in that? And through the years, we're kind of learning how to support each other in those stressful times. And sometimes it's words of encouragement. Sometimes it's just kind of like silently sitting next to them and being okay with that silence and just doing your own thing, but being supportive or helping the person talk through it, whatever. You know, you learn over the years.
Yeah.
And you have to be open to learning.
And I think one thing that chronic illness and CF as part of our relationship has affected in these kinds of things is there are times when conversations are put on hold. There are times when Mary's not feeling well, and I mean, I think it comes down to that perspective thing, but also, like, being aware in a relationship with chronic illness of when sickness is a piece of the situation. You know that there's higher stress in those situations. Like Mary talked about last time we were on our way to the hospital. She talked about how she was feeling stressed about the hospital, and she was trying not to take out that stress on me. And so we just, like, we've learned, and we're continuing to learn, to be aware of those stressors. And so when we know that there are those stressors, that's not the time to have a conversation about communication between us or something that could wait for another day.
Yeah. And having your best friends best interest in mind and thinking of the other person, like putting their priorities above yours. And if you're both doing that, then you're supporting each other.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And that right there is something that we make these vlogs every day. And part of the reason that we do it is to raise awareness of cystic fibrosis. Part of the reason we do it is to earn an income. Part of the reason we do it is we love connecting with you guys, hearing your stories. But also one piece of why we do what we do is we hope to communicate through our marriage and our relationship that sacrifice and serving other people above yourself is worth it.
Yeah.
And I believe that is the foundation of a strong marriage, is that when self-giving love is at the heart of it, then you learn to work through the hard things of life together. And it doesn't mean Mary and I are perfect at this or that we think we're a prime example of this. It's just, this is what we believe in, and we hope that maybe through these videos that that people can see that marriage is worth it, that sacrifice is worth it, that in sickness and health is real life.
Like, I love that in sickness and in health, you know, everybody says it when they get married, and there are just a lot of people who that applies to. It's not just people with CF. It's people who are out of the blue diagnosed with something, or they're healthy most of their life and then the end of their life they get sick, or like, it applies to so many people. And I love that is a reminder from the first day you get married.
Yeah. And I mean, I know, you know, if people are out there and like dating or in relationships and you're trying to navigate those years of learning to communicate with another person, I hope that you will look for a person who knows how to sacrifice and to love out of a place of humility. And I mean, I think it's part of like how Mary and I's faith shapes our view of marriage and our view of how we communicate and argue and work through things and fight CF as a couple. Like, it's part of that philosophy of following Jesus. But in that, I think there's I mean, in some ways it's the opposite of trying to find happiness in a relationship. When love is about making yourself happy, like that relationship is going to be broken. And
right.
I mean,
and these sorts of things apply not only to marriages but also to relationships in general.
Yeah.
When a parent has a child with an illness, the parent learns out of necessity how to have sacrificial love and unconditional love. And if the parent was only in it for the fun of having a child and they didn't want the sickness, of course that relationship isn't going to work. It's the same with a marriage. It's the same as kind of any sort of relationship, that this love, this unconditional and sacrificial love is given both ways, and that's the basis of a solid, loving relationship.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we dated for 6 years. Right?
Yep.
I mean, we're still dating. We had a nice horseback riding date today. She's pretty cute on a horse, I have to say.
No, you are.
But there's a plug for tomorrow's vlog. But our senior year.
Your senior year.
My senior year of college.
Oh.
I was gonna say when we got engaged, we like my last semester of college, I proposed, And then how long did we do long distance?
The second year we dated, we did long distance. So his last year in high school, we dated. Then he then he moved to Chicago for undergrad. And we were long distance for that second year. And the way that we did communication during that year was, at first we were talking every day, but then we realized with Peter in college, it was just like too much for him. He needed to focus on school. So what we did was we talked once a week. And during the week, we would write down important things we wanted to tell each other. And then once a week, we called each other on the phone and we had like a long date phone call, which taught us to talk about the important things and not just blabber on, because we only have once a week to talk.
That was not fun.
No, it wasn't fun.
The long
It was
distance
hard.
piece, but it did teach us to communicate better.
Yes.
I wouldn't say it taught us to communicate well, but it taught us to communicate better.
Yes, I agree with that. And as hard as that was, I wouldn't give up that long distance year. And then when we got engaged, we were long distance our entire engagement. He was in Boston. He had just moved to Boston, worked the whole summer and into the fall, and then we got married in January. So the second year and the 6th year, we were long distance. So.
And we have been married for 6.5 years.
7.5 years.
7.5 years. Apparently, I lost a year somewhere in there. But it just keeps getting better.
Seriously, though. Like, it's so fun to, like, get to know him more every single day, every year. And we love it.
Yeah, and I guess going back to how I progressively learned about CF, I'm still learning. Like,
So am I.
And like, it's always changing, and I think that's probably true of a lot of people in their life, where their situation is always changing. And so I guess my encouragement to people, like, I guess I hear from people who, like, are afraid of a relationship because they don't know how to tell another person about their disease or things like that. I would say, like, do it from the start. Like, start telling your story and letting another person hear about what your journey is and what that looks like, and let it be a progressive learning journey. And
Right.
I mean, the reality is not everybody can handle that, and
Right.
and so but to make that a part of a relationship, I think, is important.
Cool.
So,
We definitely need to get Ollie in here.
hey, Ollie,
Do you want to come up here for
Oh,
a
he
second?
was sleeping.
Oh, it's so sleepy.
why don't you come here?
Here, Bones, right here in the middle.
Here, come around.
Can you come in the middle? Right here. Yes, perfect. Right here. This crack right here.
All right,
Good
stand up.
Can we hold your legs?
I know you're half
Dear's
asleep.
Ollie boy. Oh, the sunshine.
Hi, guys.
Good morning. He was having a nap.
Oh, that's our Ollie boy.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in for today's Monday live stream.
And as always,
We will see you guys tomorrow. Good night.